Montessori Grandma. Episode 38. Montessori Zoology Part 1.
Montessori Zoology Program for Elementary Class 6 to 12-year-olds. Part 1. Written and presented by Geeta Vijaychandran. The Montessori curriculum tends to give children opportunities to learn about fascinating areas of study very early in their school life. Science is no exception, and one major component of a Montessori elementary education is the study of zoology. It starts with a big picture. In Montessori schools, most areas of study start with the big overarching picture, then gradually narrows down to specifics. This gives children a firm understanding and content in which they can place the details. An example of geography is given here. The story of creation is said first, which leads to the study of the world, that is a child's continent Asia, then the child's country India, and child's state Kerala, child's district, and the child's place, and then comes to the child's home, and then finally we give the child's name. This is just an example. You have to do according to the country where you live. Using the Russian doll that fits into each other makes this lesson clear. Zoology is no different. The traditional method of teaching gives individual lessons, and this makes it difficult to get the whole picture. For example, it starts with the child's name, then home, place, district, then looks at the state, then country, then the continent, and finally the world. The zoology program starts with the story of life. Here children are introduced to the evolution of life. Life started in the ocean. It started with one-celled life and moved on to multi-celled life. That is, from the smallest amoeba to the largest blue whale. Children get interested when the story is said, and this leads to the study of zoology. New names are offered through a method called name lesson or 3-period lesson. We can use 3 animals new to the child. Part 1, we introduce a name along with a picture. Example, turtle, frog, and jellyfish. So we say, this is a turtle. Turtle. This is a frog. Frog. This is a jellyfish. Jellyfish. Then we move on to the second part where we give instructions. So child can follow the instructions and move the picture accordingly. Example is, take the jellyfish in your hand. Hide the frog. Give the turtle to your friend. And so on. The second period is done till you realize the child knows the names and can relate it to the picture. Part 3 is where you point to each picture and ask, what is this? And the child gives a name. It is important children look at external parts of vertebrates and invertebrates. Some examples are fish, amphibian, reptile, bird, and mammal for the vertebrates, snail, bee, jellyfish, starfish, sponge, worms, and crab for invertebrates. We need to have pictures with name label, picture card, and story card for each part. The part we are talking about has to be colored red. The first chapter deals with the external parts of animals. The first presentation, we give the external parts of animals first, preferably with a live animal, and then with nomenclature cards. We can use a bird, a fish, cat, dog, butterfly, and so on. This includes both vertebrates and invertebrates. First presentation, parts of a bird. Here we use a live bird. Let's look at this bird. It can never stand still. It flies around. What does it use to fly? Wings. It uses these wings only when it goes about in the air flying. When it moves about on the ground, what does it use? Legs. Yes, see, these are the legs, and see what you can find at the end. Toes, and these we call claws. What are they covered with? Scales. Yes, scales and not feathers. What is this long part called? Tail. Show the head. This part of the body is called the head. See this? There are two eyes and a beak. The robin uses its beak to eat. It's sharp. See, the robin can move its head like this. Can you move your head? Yes. Do you have a beak? No. We have a mouth. Now let's look at this part. It stands out. It is called the breast. Shall we say the parts of the bird again? Then we go on to the second period and then on to the third period. We can use any animal for this presentation. The frog is colored in its natural color. The part we are talking about is colored in red. The second presentation is done using the three-part cards. Choose the animal you presented earlier. Here I have used a turtle. First, we introduce the animal. This is a turtle. Next, introduce a picture card of a specific part which has a name printed on it. In this way, introduce all the names of the parts. Once the children recognize the parts and can read the name, offer the pictures without names. And then offer the name labels. So the children have to match the picture to the label. And use a card that is having the picture and the label to check if they are correct. Here, word level reading is done. We move on to the third presentation, which is giving the purpose of the parts of a turtle. Like this is sentence level activity. Present the story cards with description of each part we are talking about. This is offered after the children have done the labeling activity and when they can read sentences. So you can see here the picture of a tortoise, and then you have the story card and with a label. So you have each part marked out in red. It is seen that only the animal is colored in the animal's original color. All the others parts that we talk about are marked in red. That is what Montessori used in all the materials. After finishing the first chapter, we move on to the second chapter, which is called Characteristics of Living Things. And the first presentation is done through a discussion with children. We start by asking them, do you remember the creation story and how life started on Earth? Do you remember what Earth looked like before life came? And then I start asking the children with an object in my hand. What can you do that this pen cannot do? Let the children start brainstorming and you write down the answers. Children would say, grow, eat, and they can go on. These down. Grow, eat, walk, swim, look, play, sleep, and the list goes on. Let's now look at the list. Grow. Yes, we grow, but a pen does not grow. Eat. The pen does not eat, but we eat. Yes, we call it nutrition. Swim, look, play, sleep. These are all actions that we do. So, we move, but a pen can't move by itself. There are more things we can do. Can you think about them? What else do you think we can do? Children often forget to mention breathing, having babies, having feelings and excretion. Why don't you all close your nose and mouth? Children realize they can't close them both for long. Why have you opened your mouth and nose? They would answer, we can't breathe. Yes, we need to breathe, but a pen does not need to breathe. Another word for breathing is respiration. Next, we move on to the next characteristics. That is, we say, look at Tom. Tom's mom has 3 children. Can this pencil have children? No. So humans can have children, and we call this reproduction. I'm going to ask you to look at me. I'm going to bring my hand very quickly towards your eyes. Let's try it. What happened? You closed your eyes. Why? Your brain told you to do it. The brain controls all your sense organs. A plant is also sensitive to too much sun and will fade. This is called sensitivity. So, all living things are sensitive. There's one more. We need to find what it is. Now let us all jump and run for 10 minutes. Come back. What happens? Our heart beats fast and we sweat. The sweat is excreted. We have to use the toilet too to get rid of our waste. When our body gives out sweat and also waste matter, it is called excretion. This pencil cannot do these things. So, there are 7 things we can do that this pencil cannot do. This is because we are living and the pencil is non-living. Now, there is an easy way to remember the 7 characteristics of living things. You just need to remember the word Mrs. Nerg. The British curriculum uses the word Mrs. Nerg for this. M is for movement, R is for respiration, S for sensitivity, N for nutrition, E for excretion, R for reproduction, and G for growth. All things that can do these 7 things are called living things. So in the second presentation, you can do some follow-up activity, that is sorting living things and non-living things. So have a set of cards of living and non-living things, and children need to sort these, saying the characteristics of each. And go on to the third presentation, where the first part of the presentation is separating plants, animals, and others that don't belong to plants and animals. So here we are looking at 3 groups: plants, animals, and others. This leads us to the third chapter, which is introducing the 6 kingdoms of life. These early lessons are simple. They describe the major defining characteristics of each kingdom and give a few examples of each with pictures and stories. Sorting of cards can be done as an activity. We then move on to looking at the characteristics of the 6 kingdoms of life. And you offer pictures and the characteristics cards, so children read and match them. And we do it for all the 6 kingdoms: animal, plant, fungi, protists, eubacteria, and archaebacteria. After we have looked at the 6 kingdoms of life, we move on to the study of the animal kingdom. Animals are eukaryotic, multicellular species belonging to the kingdom Animalia. Every animal has its own unique characteristics. They obtain their energy either by feeding on plants or on other animals. There are millions of species which have been identified. Few share similar characteristics, while others differ drastically. The next lesson is looking at vertebrates and invertebrates. This is done with the children and maybe a butterfly if you can have it, or a spider, or any invertebrate. First, we ask the children to feel their friend's back. They can feel the backbone. We have backbones inside us. We belong to the group called vertebrates. This bone is called the spine or the vertebral column. Let's look at the butterfly. All animals without a backbone are called invertebrates or non-chordates. All insects, including butterflies, share a common overall body design. A butterfly's body is divided into 3 main sections: the head, the thorax, and the abdomen. Each body section has very different functions, and all are needed for the butterfly to live. How are we able to bend our bodies? Have you ever thought about it? Let us do an experiment. The material we need is to have a cord with 4 toilet paper empty rolls and have another cord with 1 kitchen paper empty roll. So we need to hold both these up. We can see the cord with toilet paper rolls can bend, whereas the one with a kitchen paper roll cannot bend. Our backbone is made of several vertebrae, just like the toilet tissue rolls. This is why we can bend. If we just had one vertebra, then we would not be able to bend at all. More in-depth research is supported by the animal kingdom charts and first knowledge questions. We go on to the first knowledge. What is first knowledge? The next chapter deals with the first knowledge of animal kingdom. There are 45 animals included in this lesson. They include invertebrates and vertebrates. There are question and answer cards with us. The same animals are used in the first classification of vertebrates and invertebrates charts. The children already know about these animals, and when we offer the new subject, it is easier for the children to learn the classification of these animals. That is why it is important to include these 45 animals. The presentation of first knowledge of animal kingdom. We look at 45 animals. The first stage is looking at pictures and name labels. The second stage is sentence reading, that is story cards. And the third stage is question and answer cards. By answering these questions, the animals are all looked at in detail. Here is a list of the first knowledge of animal kingdom, the 30 vertebrates that we use. You can go through this, and I will be giving all the cards for this. Now, we had already looked at name lesson or the 3-period lesson, but in the elementary class, we do the name lesson a little differently. So we offer 6 to 7 pictures of animals and their name labels, and we choose animals that are known to the children and include 1 or 2 unknown ones. Example here, I have used frog, rooster, tortoise, ostrich, jellyfish, spider, and duck. Let the children recognize the animals. Do you know this animal? Yes, this is called a frog. Let the children give the names. If they don't know a particular animal, we can give the name adding some information about the animal. Example, this is a jellyfish. It floats in water and irritates our skin if we touch it. Give the name and a few sentences about the animal. Let the children say all that they know about each animal. Now, do the second and third periods. Bring out the labels and let the children read the label and match the label to the pictures. On another occasion, we can present another group of 6 to 8 animals. In this way, offer all the 45 pictures. When the children have worked with all the 45 pictures, they can lay out all the 45 pictures and label them. The children can work in pairs or in groups. They can sort out the animals into vertebrates and invertebrates. Second presentation is sentence level. Story cards are used. We need 7 to 8 pictures, their labels and story cards. Ask the children to lay out the picture cards and label them. Then you say, I have some story cards. Let us read and see if you can tell me which animal it is about. Read the story card and let the children say the name of the animal. The animal story cards do not give the name of the animal. It is only the matter about the animal. Place the card below the picture and the label. Do the same with all the story cards. It is better the adult reads the story the first time and does the activity. Next, we can distribute the story cards so the children take turns to read and match them. In this way, work with all the 45 story cards. Now, here are the 30 picture cards of the first knowledge of animal kingdom, vertebrates. So I'm giving all the cards for you, so it is easy for you to find these animals, or you can use this to cut out and make your material. Here is the next set of the vertebrate cards. Here is the last set of cards, And I've also included the story cards to match with the animals. So you can read and try and match. So next few pages, you will get all the story cards of the vertebrates. This is the next set of story cards for the vertebrates. The last set of the vertebrate story cards. In the same way, introduce the 15 invertebrates. And I'm giving you the list of the invertebrates that we usually use. After we match the story cards to the picture and the label, we move on to the next series, that is a question and answer cards. And there are 7 series in 7 colors. And for this, we have the 45 picture cards and question and answer cards. We lay out one of the question cards and place the answer cards below it in a line. Have the 30 picture cards of the vertebrates in a heap. Take the first card and read the question and find the right answer for that animal. Keep the animal card below the right answer. If there are 2 answers for the same question, keep the animal card below, in between the answers. Here's an example. Lay out the question card on top. Where does a lizard live? Below it, keep the answer cards horizontally. In water, land, air. Where does the lizard live? Land. Keep the picture of the lizard below the label land. Continue in this way with all the animal cards. Do the same for all the 7 questions. Another way of doing this, lay out all the questions and answers. Take one animal. Read the first question and find the right answer. Take the answer and keep it below the animal. Now read the second question and all the possible answers for the animal. Select the right answer for the same animal and keep the answer below the animal. In this way, work with all the questions and answers until you have 7 answers for the animal you selected. Do the same for all the animals. Now these are the question and answer cards. The red color is used for this. Where do they live? And there are 3 answer cards. One says land, the second is water, and the third is air. The second question is colored in orange. The question is, how do they move? You have 5 answer cards: walking, swimming, flying, creeping, other ways. We move on to the next question and answer cards. It is green in color and the question is, what do they eat? We have 3 answer cards: animals, and behind this card animal we write carnivorous. Plants is the second answer and behind it we write herbivorous. And the next has plants and animals and we write behind it omnivorous. The fourth question is in brown. And what zone of the earth do they live in? There are 3 answer cards. Very cold zone, behind we write frigid zone. Very hot zone and behind it we write torrid zone. And next one is hot and cold zone and behind we write temperate zone. We have the first question, yellow color, how do they reproduce? There are 3 answer cards with the same yellow color: egg, live young, in other ways. The next question is gray in color and we have the question, how do they look after their young? 3 answer cards, they suckle their offsprings, they provide food for their offspring, they take no care of their offspring. And the last question is in dark orange. The question is, how do human beings regard them? And 3 answer cards, useful, harmful, neither useful nor harmful. We can go on to the follow-up work where the children can draw and color. They can look up books and go to the library, write about each animal. They can do projects or research, make stories for other animals. They can visit farms, aquarium, and the zoo. With these materials as a stepping point, children explore other animals and research how and where animals live, what they eat, and their physical characteristics. This takes them to the internal and other parts of animals. Children look at the internal parts and some external parts of vertebrates and invertebrates. This shows the child how functions of each of these animals are similar or different. This will be looked at in our next video. This takes us to the end of the first part of the zoology program for the elementary class. Thank you for watching. This is Geeta Vijayachandran signing off.
Montessori Grandma.